Hey guys, how you doing out there? Glad to see some people showed up. We're gonna have quite an incredible conversation today, and we're gonna get all the answers we need. There's a lot of stuff been going on this last week. Let me know if you guys can hear me in the chat. First of all, hang on for that. But I wanted to thank everyone for coming. Today's a big day for multiple reasons for me, and I'm just checking the chat real quick. This day has been coming for 2 years, guys, for me. So we got about 24 people here. We'll give it another second. Let me say hi to some people. Charming, how you doing? Big Will, Varangian Vigilante, Eddie, Jesse, Jay Blitz, Daniel, Keith, Crazy Ivan, Comics 559, Collectible Paper. Man, there's a lot of people starting to jump in. Don Davis, Luke, Mad Mike's Comics, Jason Monroe, Ian, Patrick, Craig, Lisa, Mike, Javier, 36, Luke, FFB. FFB says, here, Dad. Brian, Comic Garage, Josh Graff, BB. Okay. So here's the deal. I reached out. I know that the thumbnail is kind of funny. It says talking to God, and it's a little bit silly, but to me, Mr. Borock is like, he belongs on Mount Rushmore for me as a collector. There's Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, and Steve's on there just because of, there's just a lot about him that puts him on that for me. He's the guy. He's the man. So when I say talking with God jokingly, I mean like the guy that kind of created the whole grading thing. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce Steve Borock. Let me know if you guys can hear him okay. Go ahead, Steve.
Hi, Bill. How are you?
A lot of things, Steve. I'm nervous. I've been thinking about it for 4 days, Steve. It's like, for me, like at Comic-Con, when I know it's coming, I've already planned like 2 weeks ahead. And I have long boxes full of stuff. And when the day comes, until that first day of con passes, I'm okay. But
right,
it's horrible. So I'm in that state. I'll get past it in a second.
That's okay. I get nervous on every interview I do. So we're in the same boat.
Oh, you're going to be really nervous on this one.
Oh, great. Thanks, pal.
So, I mean, I think, honestly, timing is everything. Now, I've noticed that, thank you for the super chat, Craig. I appreciate it. Let me just say to everyone that's in here now, save all your questions for the end of the interview. Steve's going to answer as many as he can at the end, but I'm guarantee I'm going to get most of the answers first. So don't bog down the chat if you can't, so we can have a smooth run. And when it comes that time, I'll start reading your questions to Steve, and we'll go from there, okay? But where was I going with this? I forgot what I was about to say. How about this? Let's just start right from the bat. Who are you, Steve? For the people that don't understand, who are you when it comes to comic book grading?
Wow. Okay, well, I helped create the first grading service, my competition.
CGC. Okay.
I was the head grader, finalizer, and at the beginning, the restoration detection expert. So we brought one on because I was taking on too much on my own. And I created it with Mark Haspel, great guy. And everybody said, certification would not work. I mean, some of my best friends in the hobby, everybody just said, you can't put books in plastic. And I said, I had the same reaction when the owners of the Certified Collectibles Group came to me and offered me the gig. But then they showed me how it worked in coins and cards and how it protects the industry and our hobby. And I said, okay, but you have to make the holder openable. Because originally they were going to make it so you couldn't open it again.
Sealed. Mm-hmm.
Right. And I also told them that they had to pick, I would have to pick my own team because I wanted the hobby to be healthy. And I didn't want people who were corrupt or inept working in our hobby at the highest of levels.
Now, this is when you came into CGC, right at the beginning.
Right.
Okay.
At the very beginning. And they agreed to that. And like I said, I picked Mark Haspel as my second command. He's fantastic. He is actually an owner now of What A Games that grades the video games.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And they're doing really well. Great guy. I can't say enough about him. And then I worked with CGC for many, many years building it. Certification took off like wildfire. I got kind of burnt out from grading, and also they wouldn't give me a piece of the business.
Oh.
And I thought that was a little off. So I went to, for about a year, I kind of floated buying and selling comic books, just having some fun, relaxing. And then I went to Heritage as a Senior Consignment Director, where I brought in millions and millions of dollars worth of books and comic art.
So you were, now what was your position at Heritage? Now I know, from what I know, that's the biggest, like a collectible auction.
It's the largest collectible auction house in the world.
Yeah.
And it's also the third largest auction house in the world.
Oh, wow.
So right under Sotheby's and Christie's, who've been around for, 100 years.
Yeah.
And Heritage just came in and just blew them away. I mean, the reason they're still doing better than Heritage on certain things, not comics, not comic art, not collectibles, of course. Like I said, they're still the largest. But is because of the longevity. They're Coca-Cola and Heritage was Pepsi.
Yeah. What was your position? What was your position?
Senior Consignment Director.
Senior Consignment Director. So you would go out and see collections, the best collections in the world, correct?
Oh, sure. I mean, I brought in the Donna Maggie Thompson collection. Maggie Thompson, of course, First Lady of Comics. Fantastic person, good friend. Brought in the Seamus artwork collection, which set record prices, especially for Todd McFarlane art.
I remember that.
Sure, that one cover sold for $667,000.
Imagine now.
No, actually, I think that price was quite high for that cover.
Well, he was so hot, but yeah, I get it. So that's pretty awesome.
I don't know if it'll ever reach that point again, but that was incredible. And I brought also Pedigree Comics, an auction house. I got him to give me his personal collection to auction through Heritage instead of his own site. That's how big Heritage is.
Wow.
And that was, $4.2 million consignment. That was incredible.
So you went from
years ago. So, I mean, 4.2 million.
Yeah, nowadays
probably go for like 7 million. And Heritage had their first $10 million auction. I brought in, I'd say, about 600,000 of it that time. Sorry, 6 million of it.
So what you were at CGC? You started all that at CGC for what? About 10 years?
No, about 8.
8 years. Then you went to Heritage, and you were the Senior Consignment Advisor? Director.
Right.
And
just the title.
Now I gotta say something, and this is a rumor that floats around. See, I don't think a lot of people. Here's the thing. Okay, I've been doing this channel for about 1.5 years. Now I've been into the comic book game for seriously for 15 years, buying, selling, grading, and all that. So I've met a lot of big time sellers,
Sure.
like I'll mention Ed Robertson. I know you know him.
Oh, nice guy.
I love
Really
him.
nice guy.
He's local out here. I go visit him, and I hear a lot of different stories from the old. I'm not calling him old. You're not old. I'm old, but
Well,
when
I am old. I'm going to be 57 in June. I'm not young.
Okay, well that's pretty good. But in the industry we say the old timers or whatever.
Right.
And there were stories here about you. You are the most, we say the old timers or whatever.
Right.
And there were stories here about you. You are the most, but it's true. I mean, you can, it's written in stone. No, but what's interesting is, I've heard stories from some of the old timers saying that there was a need for another grading company. Now, I know there's a lot of rumor and stuff, but I heard that people came to you and said, look, is there any way, or you could start another company because there's one, it's like the dominant, and there needs to be competition to breed excellence type of thing, or concerns out there from other collectors. Is that true? And is that kind of where the beginning of CBCS came from? Or, I'd like a little clarification on that.
Sure. Well, it's true and it's not true. So I like a good steak dinner and a good scotch, right? And people would want to take me out and discuss opening another grading service. Well, I'm not stupid. I'll get a free dinner out of it and listen to what they have to say because somebody might have the right idea. I was kind of saying to myself, of course, no, I'm not getting monopoly. You're in trouble. I mean,
yep.
We've seen what's happened with the growth of my competition, and there's certain things that people love, certain things that people hate, and there was things that are happening now or happening after I left that I wouldn't have agreed to. So yeah, I was interested, but not very. And then my ex-partner came along, and he said I could run everything my way. He would handle the business part, and I could handle the comics. And once again, pick my own team, and I picked, of course, Wes Steffen, who's one of the top experts on pedigrees in the world, a fantastic grader, and some other people. And we spent a lot of time talking on the phone for months, and then we spent time together, actually a 48-hour period of just nonstop brainstorming how this could work. And I finally said, okay. Boom, there was now competition, legitimate competition, because we didn't have legitimate competition. And it's funny, I look back on some old interviews and I say, eventually there'll be legitimate competition. I had no clue it would be me.
So what's funny is you started CGC basically for the grading part, and then you left and created its main competition now.
Yes.
So that's really
and they don't like me for that.
Well, I can understand that, but again, like you said, a monopoly is a monopoly. So I don't really want to get into other companies, PGX. We all know about PGX, sure. and I'm gonna tell you right now, I've been helping a guy, Tony Trombetta, over at EGS Comics Grading. He's trying to start something. It's small. He's having a tough time. I like his product. He doesn't have a case yet and all that, but he's a good guy and he's a good grader, and I support him. But cool. I just wanted to kind of move past that. So, okay, so I guess first I want to ask another real quick question, okay? Sure. And then it's just going to kind of topple. I mean, I'm prosecuting a case right now, Steve. So I'm letting you know I should be a lawyer, but no, here we go. So N- Did you see the video I made where I sent one book to all you guys?
Oh yeah, yeah. I found it very interesting.
So I know I overgraded that book, but I wanted to make if I was gonna do that video that took 6 months, and I wanted to give a good half hour look at that book. Now I looked at it at like 2 times grading, like 2 times zoom, and I destroyed that book. So really, no one really would have passed the test. But I wanted to know what you thought about it. I know that you probably agree I overgraded that book. I spent too much time on it.
Well, I mean, I kind of dug it because it made us look good.
Yeah, oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, all right. But like maybe in an Overstreet type of way, that might have been a way they would eyeball it if there was only one comic submitted. I don't know. But I thought it was really interesting that CGC gave it the highest grade. That 100% in my mind. I think that your grade, I don't know how much time you guys spend looking at a book, but I think that an 8.5 off-white to white or whatever it was a pretty reasonable grade. I think I even said that. Of course, I had a little bit of issue with the cases. I just think they're a little soft, but that wasn't what that video was.
Well, that's going to change anyway.
And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. But so, a lot of people say, Bill, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to grade a book. I just like the fact that you said I went a little overboard, but you're saying I did grade the book properly, just took a lot of time on it.
Right. I mean, the more you look at a book, if you take a half hour to look at a book, you're going to find every little defect. And in the back of your mind, you're going to keep adding these little defects up. And that's not healthy.
I get it.
For grading.
Well, this is a good jump off point because I think it's very interesting. We talked about a story, and to me, it was the first time I heard it. Okay. And I think it's amazing. So could you tell us a little bit about how you came up with the average grading system? Because it's something I didn't know, and I think it's an amazing story that people need to know about.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've been grading, most of my life. I set up my first show selling books at the Phil Seuling Marketplace when I was 12 years old.
Wow.
So I've been studying grading since I was a kid, using the Overstreet, of course. Right now, I'm, senior grading advisor to Bob Overstreet.
So you're also you're the senior grader for Overstreet as well?
See, grading for the
price guide
grading advisor.
Oh shit, that's fine. But
and so is Mark Haskell, the gentleman that I mentioned.
Okay.
And we used Overstreet standards, but we realized that Overstreet standards are just a guide. And Bob will tell you this, that his guide is a guide.
Yeah.
It's not, you can't pinpoint everything.
Sure.
Because if you say that you can't have a 1/2-inch crease in this certain grade, well, wait a minute. What if that 1/2-inch crease doesn't break color?
Yeah.
And one does, or one's on the back cover and one's on the front cover.
Sure.
Well, people would rather have the one on the back cover that doesn't break color than one on the front cover that does. So you can't just quantify defects. You have to also take a look at the book and say, what does this look like?
Yeah.
So what we do is we went to the top dealers and the top collectors with a group of books that I had actually bought. Everything from like a 9/8 games duration, books from different eras. And what we do is we used the people to then kind of bring all those grades together and see where everybody is, and we average them out. And we use that because some people grade tougher and some people grade higher.
So let me break it down a little bit. You bought a certain books that you showed a bunch of dealers and people in their head of their fields in the comic book industry type of thing, collectors use the same books to everybody, and you made a average of a grade type of thing?
Yes, except if somebody was way too high or way too low, we threw out the grade.
Okay.
The tightest grader in the world and the loosest grader in the world are both just as bad.
Okay.
Right? You want to be in the strike zone.
Yeah.
Right. So if you think you're sending in a book and it's an 8.0, you should get back a 7.5, 8.0, or 8.5 if you know how to grade.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what we try to do every day, whether it was with my competition, whether it was with Heritage, or whether it's CBCS. And we train graders for years before they can even think about finalizing. But the community has their own standards, and each person has their own standards, which is a little tough to deal with at times, because there's people say, well, you can't have a spine tick on a 9.8. It's like, well, that's why it's a 9.8, not a 9.9. Where we use a 0.3 for a coverless comic and a 0.1 for like a page of Action 1, right? Because it has value to it. So why shouldn't you assign a number to it?
Just for a page, yeah.
That's something that CBCS brought to the forefront.
Now, I really like that thought, because I didn't know that. I didn't know that you guys went around and you averaged out from all the big guys how to make the system. I 100% agree. I guess we'll have different.
The nicest guy and the fairest guy in the world. I mean,
I was looking through the Overstreet. The other day, and I mean, there's like 100 to 200 pages before you even get to the to the grading. And I saw your picture in there, and I was like, man, that's a lot. I need to actually start reading. So you guys, real quick, let me address the chat real fast. You guys, if you have any problems with lagging, it's going to happen. YouTube at this time is a little bit weird. So if you need to jump out and jump back in, you can do that. But try not to destroy the chat, because by all you typing lagging, you are making it lag more. So please either back out and come back in, and also save your questions till the end of the interview as well. I'll give them a second to jump out and come back in if they need to. It should clear up in a second.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah, it will. YouTube's been really weird lately. A lot of my live videos, when I go back and watch them, they'll be like, I'll be talking, and then all of a sudden it'll be at a whole nother part. I'm like, what happened? Like, I don't understand. And hopefully that doesn't happen to this video, because I want this to be going all the way through. But whatever. Okay. So I think a lot of people, I guess I'm just going to go right to it, because I have a lot of questions I want to ask you about CGC itself and your charity work. And I want to talk about some announcements that I'm making and stuff like that. But I've been watching CGC and CBCS for 2 years. And well, let me say this way. How can I put it? Something really big happened at C2E2. And so really quick before that, I've been watching you. I realized that you had a lot of YouTube interviews in the last couple months. I didn't see those, but I did see a interview with you with Adam from City Limit Comics. I saw that.
Sure. Real nice guy. Really, really passionate.
Yeah. He's passionate. All right. That's for sure. I like to say that. Yeah. I like to say that I am too, and that kind of gives me a weird rep over here on YouTube. But I do want to say that.
Well, we're all passionate about this hobby.
If you're passionate about the hobby, you're passionate about the hobby. And if you're not, you're not. You're in it for other reasons.
And being passionate about the hobby doesn't mean you agree with everybody.
I understand. But the reason,
we all have our own way of looking at this hobby, because once again, it's a hobby. It's something we love.
Well, that's correct. I mean,
you get emotionally attached to it.
And I treat it very lovingly and stuff. And here's what I want to do. I believe timing is everything. Again, I said that before, but I don't think you've talked to anyone else really live about the situation at C2E2. And I want to give I know it's difficult. I know you guys, you're a great company and you're not much of a bigger look. I've just said that you started CGC grading, you Heritage Auctions, Overstreet, you started CBCS. You are the man that can answer these questions. Okay. So what I want to do is I hope you answer the questions. That I'll be another fail over here, but I wanted to show my thoughts really fast and tell the people about what happened. And then I'm going to show the video and just give you a minute to, I don't know if you're watching or whatever, but give you a minute to just relax. And then I'll briefly sum it up and then ask you a couple questions so we can move on past this, because I think it's a big deal.
Okay.
So you guys out there, here's the deal. Last weekend at C2E2, there was like a first time ever we saw Matt Nelson like do a page count on a book. Now, I believe Matt Nelson is the head grader at CGC now and was the head restoration expert or whatever for CCS. Now, at CGC, but he came over with CCS when they bought the pressing company.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
What happened was, you know, I'm going to be fully, look, I'm just going to say it because I'm Economics and Comics. I'm trying to tell you everything that happened. Another YouTuber, Comic Tom, apparently had some access to their social media for CGC, which was amazing. The fact that he was able to film a page count and some grading and some other stuff. So we got that behind the scenes access. It's always seemed to be private. Okay. So what was even more amazing, it was Matt Nelson holding the book. It just happened to be a Superman #1, very low grade, maybe restored, maybe not, damaged, stuff like that. But I was shocked, guys. And a lot of you were also in the video. And honestly, from the CGC social media page, which I can't believe they haven't pulled the video down yet. Personally, I think it's an absolute nightmare scenario for them. It's basically like doing advertisement for every other company. So I'm going to show you the video real quick. And then, and I've done another video where I freaked out, and you can watch it.
Really?
Yeah. If they want to watch, that video where I slow it down, that's fine. But this is not that. This is just the video itself, guys, of him grading a Superman 1. Okay. Let's see if I can play this thing. So the first thing that got me was the fact that how fast he was flipping through the pages. I mean, it freaked me out because even if that's a book off the wall, I don't even touch my books like that. So just a $4 book. Now, whether that's $1,000 book or $100,000 book, I had a lot of problems with it. Now, if you slow it down,
well, whether it's $1,000 book or a $1 book should be treated the same.
I agree. So I'll just show it one more time really quick because it's a quick video. I know there was damage to the bottom corner, but it seems like he's putting more and more damage every time he flips a page on that same spot. There's multiple times that I can see creasing and stuff like that. And I don't know. I wasn't there, and I understand we can't really say if he was damaging it or not, but it's pretty apparent that it was to me, it reminded me of like a hot dog eating contest. Let's see how many hot dogs we can eat in a certain amount of time. And I went crazy. Okay. So now I got to admit, Steve, I'm not really worried about the gloves. And I think that was their first defense was they put up something on the website where it was like historical documents or with gloves. I don't care about a glove. I personally like to create my comics without gloves. But I think it was like a deflection or like a way to make it seem okay. But that wasn't the real problem to me, not the glove part. Because I think as long as you're clean and wash your hands every time you grade a different comic, something like that in that type, that you're fine whether you use gloves or not. They try to make a big deal about that and cover up that part. But to me, it was about the speed and the almost lack of care for the book. Because as a collector, I'm just trying to get it all out so I can let you go. As a collector, when I'm saying, say I get a book off the wall and I want to send it to get a 9.8 or whatever, I'm checking for any ticks and I quickly flip through it, but not quickly. I go really slow as to not damage any type of the book. Okay. So that was my main issue, was that whether it was a page count or a grade or whatever, it was too darn fast. It was like a show off. Even when he put the book down, he did like a poker switch of dealer move when you put your hands and like you take it away from the cards and like, oh, I'm done. I'm time or whatever. So, I made some comments on CGC's site and I was really furious, to be honest with you. And I made a video and some funny videos and whatever, just to vent. That's how I vent. There was some reactions. I think 95% of the community was in shock, at least if you read the comments. And the other 5% were defending or telling people they don't know what they're talking about and this and that. I kind of take that personal because I really do care. And I think I've learned how to grade based on your original standards at CGC 20 years ago. Whenever I sent a book in, I would check it. And if like it got a 7.5, like, dang it, why? Or an 8.5 or whatever. And I learned, I adapted, So I guess now that I'm done with that, and a lot of people saw, I'm going to ask you, I just know if I was videoing that and I was a guest, I would have freaked out and ran. I know myself, I would have just freaked. I would have definitely not posted that video. I don't know why they did that. But anyway, I'm done with that. I have 2 questions for you. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Are you sure?
I hope so.
I hope so too. And again, you guys listen very closely. The reason I've talked about grading, and he started the CGC grading thing. He went to Heritage Auctions ahead of there. He went to started CBCS. He's part of the Overstreet Price. This is the guy that started it all, and this is the bottom line answers. Now, whether Steve deflects or answers like a politician or whatever he does, you're hearing it right now live. So here we go. Okay. After being head of the CGC and everything else, this is like kind of a 2-part question. Is that how you initially trained people to grade when you were head at CGC? Or what I'm asking is that how you're supposed to treat or grade or page count a comic, whether it's a golden age or a modern book?
Well, I mean, I've never trained anybody to count pages like that. We train them to handle the book, whether it's like, once again, like I said, whether it's a $1 book or a very high value book. We call it, treat it like each page like butterfly wings, where at any minute you could put damage into it. None of my graders would have counted the pages like that or anything like that. First of all, you also have to look at the total inside of each page, each wrap, if you will.
Even if you're just counting?
Even if you're just counting, because that's really important. I mean, nobody is paid just to count pages.
Yeah. I think it was an initial assessment, just a free evaluation, but there's no way that was a grading.
You should be looking at the staple place, the staples.
Sure.
On the 3rd wrap, to see if there's any restoration or see if it's popped or anything like that. I'm not sure what that video was supposed to do.
It definitely, we know what it did.
I'm not CGC, right?
But that's the problem here that I'm having. You were.
Right, but I mean, I wouldn't. I would never put that video up.
Well, either would I. I'm smart enough to know that I don't understand what's going on. Steve, I got to be honest with you. I don't understand why it's up, because they're deflecting with the glove joke. Even YouTube channels are just like, oh, we don't need gloves or not. That was not the problem. It was the handling of the book.
If you're handling a 1.5 book, you don't need to have gloves on.
I get that.
You just don't, right? And it's harder to grade with gloves on.
I understand that too.
But if I'm handling, believe it or not, if I'm handling an ultra modern book that fingerprints easily, I wear gloves.
Like a foil, I do the same thing. Like anything that will take the print immediately, no matter what you do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing with a super high grade Golden Age book. You know, Edgar Church Mile High or Riley San Francisco. Any of those books, they're so pristine that you want to handle them with super care. I mean, the pages should be turned one at a time, but the book should be laying down flat.
That's what I thought the instant I saw that as well. I know part of it was laying down flat. And I mean, there was some delicacy to it. Is that the right word? But it still was just way too quick. I saw pressure. I mean, I slowed it down. I know the book was damaged. He was causing pressure in the same exact place. And I know people, also say, well, it was a low grade. Who cares? I care. I don't care if it was $1.
Well, I mean, if it did any damage, sure, I would care, because even if it's a 1.5, you could put damage on it that changes the look of the book a little bit. And it's still a 1.5, but you'd prefer to have a 1.5 that's better looking than another 1.5.
So when you were saying treat like a butterfly, let me just say, I guess when you're grading the book yourself, if you're doing just a page count, you're not just doing a page count. You're doing the overall book, so you only have to handle it one time, basically, I'm guessing.
Well, for me, when it gets to me,
yes,
I'd like to handle it one time only.
So you count pages individually while looking at the spine, the center, the stables.
Well, my pre-graders count the pages, look for all that.
Okay.
And then it comes to myself or West Steph and Finalizer. And we double check all the work that they've done. As I mentioned, we don't let them finalize for years until they're ready. So we have to check the books. And there's lots of hidden restoration, even on a 1.5.
Sure.
If you're talking about something like a Superman 1 or an Action 1 or Morphin 52, whatever, it doesn't matter. Heck, we find restoration on Spawn 1s, believe it or not. I see Spawn 1s and Spider-Man 300s with, black color touch all the time.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You wouldn't expect it.
Back cover for the Spideys or what?
Sure, even the front cover, the spine is all black,
So, but let's say for the Superman 1, I mean, you're looking for a lot more. I mean, you do everything for every book, but you would probably spend more time on that book, I think.
Sure. I mean, somebody mentioned, or you mentioned, or was on the chat, that 1 minute per book. That's not true at all. 1 minute per book is too quick.
Oh, you're looking at the chat?
Oh yeah,
hey, you guys, be careful.
Once in a while, I'm checking it out.
No questions till the end, guys. Trust me, you get your chance. Okay,
sure.
So he's not saying 1 minute per book, and not even 30 seconds per Superman 1. So I guess so you're trained, like you said, to treat it like a butterfly. I look at it as like a fine hair. If you break the hair, because I was used to like.
Well, I said butterfly wings.
Butterfly wing, that's good.
Right.
When I used to do before this, I did sports cards, and we'll get to that in a minute. But man, I had to be so delicate. You take it out of the pack, and you're like really careful, and you put it right into a sleeve, and you send it off to Becket or whatever. That's how I was. So in turn, that came around to the comic book after it was more than just reading to me. It was a collection or whatever. So I guess
comic books are much more fragile than baseball cards.
No, I understand that too. So you basically what you're saying is You do not grade or count or do whatever the way that was shown by the head grader at CGC now, nor did you ever train a grader at CGC or CBCS to grade like that.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, so there you go. That's the answer to that question. Now, this question is the last question, and then we're going to move on.
Okay.
Do you think that, I know it's hard to tell, and of course I did slow down the video, but do you think it was possible that he might have caused damage to that book?
It is a possibility, but once again, I wasn't there. I didn't see the book before. I didn't see the book after. And so it's, it would be unfair of me because I wouldn't want to disparage anybody, even my competition. I think that it was just it was a bad PR move by CGC.
I still don't understand it. It's still up, Steve.
Yeah, I can't believe that, but
it is fun to read the comments, though. They are hilarious.
Look, I'd love to do a video of how to handle a comic book. I think maybe we should. I'm just working, 6 to 7 days a week now.
Did you see mine? The one where I graded the Hulk 181?
No, I didn't. I don't think I saw that.
Steve, you don't want to see it, okay?
Okay.
It was it was a joke right after CGC's little video, but I had to. I have to vent, and this is how I vent. So I did a little parody video. I thought it was funny. Anyway, we're done with that. Okay, guys. So you just heard how Steve Borock, the man that started it all, thought about that live. Now I want to move on, and we'll get to more questions a little bit later from them. I'm trying to cover it all, so it's not that big of a deal. But let's see. Let's talk about CBCS. Okay. I guess the first thing I want to talk about is the Becket buyout. I've been watching very carefully the last 2 years since it's happened. I've seen CGC change with the Becket buyout. I don't know why or how. We don't need to really get into that. But what has it done for you? To me, I thought it was a huge move.
Oh, it's been fantastic. I mean, don't get it wrong. The transition was really tough. It slowed us down. The move to Texas, of course, slowed us down.
Yeah, that was going to talk about that too. So we can just put it together. Right. The turnaround time really killed you when you did the move. Yeah,
but right now we're at like 5-week turnaround time.
That's nice.
Unless you're using the pressing service, which is a mess right now, and we're actually working on fixing that. Pressing's taking forever.
A lot of people do their own pressing now.
Yeah, I see so much bad pressing. It's unbelievable. You have to downgrade after these books have been pressed. They've actually put damage into the book.
I believe it.
If you're going to press the book, you should use one of the professionals in the hobby. And somebody who has a fantastic track record. And just because somebody moved a book from a 5.5 to a 6 doesn't mean that they did a great job. Sometimes, a grader will look at the book and say it's a 5.5, and sometimes they'll say it's a 6 when it's really a 5.75, which there's no grade for, right? But there's some really bad pressers out there, and I'm not trying to push our pressing. I'm trying to push pressing to the, correct people.
Yeah, there's definitely people out there that are well known.
I care about the books in the hobby, so I don't want to see them ruined. But we see, pebbling on these books because they didn't use the right release paper. We see waves because they humidified it too much. We see staples that are popped from too much pressure. It's really a shame. Anybody can buy a press and watch a YouTube video. Doesn't mean that they can press a book.
Well, I'm guilty as charged. I'm really careful, but I've started pressing about a year ago and trying to.
And how many books did you ruin before you could get the press right?
I got to be honest, I ruined one.
That's it? Come on, man.
And it was way after I started. I was watching. I don't know if you know of Captain Mike. I don't know if.
The name sounds familiar.
So I kind of watched a lot of videos on him. I don't want to really go off on this tangent, but I did a quick press for someone on a new book, and I forgot something because I wasn't thinking, and I melted the book together.
Yeah,
but
we actually get those in.
Why would someone send that? That's like posting a video of counting pages on a Superman 1 or something.
It's crazy.
Anyway, so yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I do my best and stuff like that. And I know there's a lot of people trying to learn. And yeah, I agree. Take your time, but there are big time pressers out there that a lot of the bigger guys know and stuff like that. And of course, why would I not want to send it to, your pressing company? I mean, I know why.
Because with us, it takes forever right now.
Well, and it's the same with CGC
that's gonna
too.
Change, but
okay. Well, so anyway, let's get back to Becket. So, if they don't understand, Becket is the biggest name in regard to grading sports cards and coins and all that.
No, they don't do coins.
They don't do coins. Yeah, I thought they had a coin business.
No, as far as I know, Becket doesn't have coin grading.
I know something that God doesn't know? Is it possible?
Well, first of all, I'm not God. Second of all, maybe you have it wrong because
it's not Becket though.
I've been working with them for a year and a half, and nobody's called me about working with coins.
No, I understand that, but they have like another company under their wing that's like or someone said NGC or PG.
No, NGC is owned by a certified collectibles company, and PCGS is owned by David Hall.
Okay, well, maybe I'm wrong, but they're the biggest sports card.
Sure, and they weren't number one at one point. They were number 3. They just know how to do things.
Yeah, their cases and their grading.
They got it right.
They got to the top. I mean,
yeah,
they did get to the top, and they were, you could get PSA, and that was fine. But you always knew if you got Becket, they were tougher on the. It's just the way it was, and so. I thought the move was brilliant. Now, did they buy CBCS? Is that how it worked?
They bought CBCS, and so I'm an employee at this point, even though I'm the president. Where I was the owner of CBCS, part owner of CBCS. With my partner back in the day, but my partner's no longer with us.
He passed away, or
no. I meant with CBCS.
Okay.
Oh my God! I hope he never passes away. But he, I don't think he knew what he was getting himself into with the grading service, but he was so upset with the ways CGC has handled his books and his submissions, I should say, not his books, that he was so upset with them. He was spending thousands of dollars a month that he said, I'm going to start my own company. And that's how he and I actually connected through a mutual friend.
Okay, so wait, you're saying that the owner of Becket was having problems with CGC?
Sorry. When my partner, before he was my partner, before I met him, was having a lot of problems with CGC, he said at one point they told him, if you don't like it, open up your own grading service.
Now, I've been hearing a lot of that.
Maybe I will.
Yeah, that was a bad idea. Here's one thing I noticed about your company. If there's a problem, majority of the time you will try to fix it. People can email you and talk to you.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if there's a problem at CGC or you say something negative, they bury it. Like or they block it. They don't address it. It's just like a thing like We know we're the number one and we don't care. I've heard that a million times, and from people that send me messages and stuff like that.
Well, if you're a business person and you're not a hobbyist, it probably is a smart move, right? But the thing is that we have to care about the hobby. We have to take care of our hobby. And so we, CBCS, will let people say negative things about us on our chat boards, and on Facebook and wherever. I'm more than happy to come on and answer questions on our chat board and things like that. I do it all the time. But if you're just in it for the money, and don't get me wrong, we're a business. We want to make money, but the hobby doesn't need us. We need the hobby. So we need to protect it. And by protecting it, one of the things you do is listen to criticism. And ego does not pay the rent. It just doesn't. You need to treat these books as if they're your own. And that you say to yourself, how would somebody want me to handle their books? How would somebody want me to grade their books? And then if you get criticism about the holder, well, we're working on the holder. It should roll out on.
Yeah, let's talk about that really quick. So cases, you know that there could be a better case. Now you guys are announcing that April 1st, or in April, the new cases are coming out.
Yeah, we're hoping for the end of March, so I'm saying April 1st. You know that's April Fool's Day. It's
not a joke. It's not.
No.
Okay, that would be a bad move.
Absolutely.
So what are the cases like? If you can describe them. Wow. I can show. Let me show your old cases.
They're sleeker, they're sturdier, but the clarity is fantastic.
Okay.
Which is what we prided ourselves on at the beginning. That we have a very crystal clear holder.
So I'm showing right now,
no blue tint, no Newton rings.
No Newton rings. You're guaranteeing no Newton rings?
Yeah.
On the new cases?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Well, it depends on the engineering. And it depends on what you're using as materials.
Well, I think everything you said today, that is the one that might get you. That might. Well, I hope not. I'm ready.
If something bites me in the butt,
it's my fault.
It's gonna bite me in the butt, but I'm always honest about things.
Well, I never knew about that. Okay, like I knew you were coming out with more cases. I'm showing some pictures right now where we're talking about the old cases, but I had no idea. I thought Newton ring was just it just happens depending.
No, that's pressure and materials.
Okay, so you guys are using a different material, I guess, then, and it's going to be clearer.
I'm guessing.
Huh?
I'm guessing. I don't know what CGC does.
I don't care about CGC. I'm talking about you. You guys are doing a new material, and it's going to be clearer. Now, how do you seal it?
It's sonically sealed.
The new ones or the old ones too?
The new ones.
Okay.
The old ones are not sonically sealed.
So what does that mean?
Some more tamper evident.
Oh, okay. So
much safer.
Okay, so you'll see if someone tried to open it.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that's interesting. I like the sound of all that. Here's another picture I wanted to put up. Okay, so I don't know if you're looking right now. Okay, so everybody, now you know. April, new cases. More, you're going to see evidence of tampering, and they're supposed to be much clearer. Would you consider it like a Mylar clear type of thing? Is that what? No,
Mylar is not good. CGC came out with a new holder at one point, and they were using Mylar, and that caused even more of the Newton rings.
What I meant is by visually looking at, you know how you put it in a regular bag and board, but if they put it in a Mylar, it looks like $100 book. Like, you know, that how that it's visually stimulating.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. That's what we're going to have. But we also put a check mark next to the grade when the book looks better than the grade given.
I remember that.
Check mark means check the grader's notes.
But it also
free.
doesn't.
We don't charge anybody. You don't have to have a membership with us for that.
Yeah, I thought that the check mark
on the back of the label, there's a QR code that if you use your iPhone, you can just pull up the grader's notes.
Now, I showed that in my video where I sent the book everywhere. That was my favorite part about it, that I just put my phone to the QR code on the back and it had all the grader's notes, which is amazing. Now, do you give grader notes on every single book, even if it's a 9.8?
No, nothing on 9.8, 9.9, or 10.
Okay. So I loved that because it was instant access to the grader. I thought that was brilliant. I want to talk about this. There's a little picture up right now. I know that you guys slab art stuff, but I thought this was really interesting. This, you can see it, right?
Yeah. Steranko.
Yeah.
He's
so
a good friend of mine.
So
great guy.
That's on a, what is it? A board, a silver board or something?
Just a regular comic board.
Like, the bags and boards.
Right.
So he drew that on a board, and you guys watching me fine on the screen.
Oh yeah, you're pausing at times.
Okay.
There is a lag.
I'm not sure what's going on in the comments, but I'm reading something I'm not very happy with. I don't know what it's about though. But anyway, so so that's cool that you guys do that. You can do art. You don't have to get a grade on. Even on a sketch cover book, you can choose whether you want art or a grade.
I'm sorry. Repeat that, please.
So say someone gets a blank cover, sketch cover done, and they don't want it a grade. They just want it to be labeled as art. They can do that?
No, only if there's art on it. I mean, if you send in a comic book and there's nothing on it.
No. Like Steranko drew on like a Spider-Man 1 sketch cover, and he drew on it.
They can pick just to have it as art. Because at the end of the day, if Steranko did something fantastic on a book, do you care if it's a 9.8 or a 5.0 when you only care about the art?
No, I get it.
So you don't need to grade. You don't need to have a grade on it. You just have it as art.
Yeah, I like that a lot. The ability to do that. You don't even if you get it and you're like, I got this great piece of art on this sketch cover, but it's like an 8.5, and I don't want it to be graded. I just want it to be said that the art was original from whoever. I think that's a great option.
Well, so do I. That's why we use it.
Okay, so we've kind of covered everything about CBCS, the move.
Case now, we're going to bring it out in April.
Well, hopefully we can get together again and do a full announcement live.
Sure.
We'll talk about that. And, we talked about the book, the infamous Superman, and we talked about you, and you kind of started it all and got your opinions on a lot of things. I wanted to ask you about your charity work really quick. Not quick, take as much time as you want. But I got a picture of you here. From
St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. It's one of the greatest charities around. So I've done many at C2E2 and New York Comic Con to raise money for St. Jude's. We've raised over $500,000 so far.
Wow!
Auctioning off comic art. But I'm also on the board of Hero Initiative, which is really important to me, and it's important to the hobby. I think everybody should know about it, heroinitiative.org. What we do is we take care of creators in need, and whether it's so much money, and some of them just don't have anything. And so we raise money and we just, spread it out amongst whoever needs it. It's really important to make charity work in our hobby. I always, I've said this before, that if I ever needed charity, I would take it. So if I have it right now to give, why shouldn't we give? Well, we can. Hopefully I'll never need charity, but some people do, and it's just a fact of life. And it's very important, especially if you care about our hobby and you care about the people in it, or you care just the fact that you're making a lot of money in our hobby. Well, give something back. It's very, very important. I mean, I believe that in all walks of life, but comic books are my hobby, and so the St. Jude's to me is very important because it's for children, and they do.
Is that a live
work.
show? Are there
Sorry?
is that like a live auction type of thing?
Yeah, the live that it's right after the convention ends. We do. It takes about 3 hours to do the auction,
But not online. It's at the convention.
right?
Okay. Well, yeah. I'm actually. Again, funny enough, I'm going to mention City Limits Comics again from Instagram. He was talking about donating books to charities or something like that on one of his shows. So I'm in I'm in talks with my local LCS, Greg's Comics, right now, where I'm going to give him some money and try not. I don't have a lot of money. A lot of people think I have a lot of money, and I don't have.
Yeah, people think I have a lot of money. I make people money. I'm not rich.
I feel like I'm the same way. Like I'm constantly trying to give codes and deals and all this stuff, and whatever. But regardless of the point, I'm working with him. He's going out of town when he comes back. We're going to try to put together a couple long boxes and bring him to like a children's hospital or something in that line to introduce kids to comics and donate a bunch of stuff. Because I want to be a part of that too, and we've been talking about that. So,
well, you could donate comics to the Hero, straight to the Hero Initiative, and they will put them on eBay and sell them.
I mean that's cool. And that's great.
I didn't mean you. I mean our audience.
Yeah, if they want to do that, they can. I want to be more like involved. I want to actually go to the hospitals, and I want to like do something like that. Like all the way from beginning to finish. I'm working on that right now as well. But okay, so we're gonna get to your guys' questions in a couple minutes, in about 2 minutes, okay? And I wanted to just quickly say thank you, Steve, and we'll get to them in a minute. But I have my own announcement that I want to make, and it's taken me before I started this channel. I was already thinking about it because of. Like I said, I was watching very closely the buyout with Becket because that impressed me, and I love Becket. And watching, and this is personally my view. If you want to chime in or not, you can, Steve. But I've been watching books being moved so quickly by CGC in and out, where they're multiple spine ticks or 9/8. You buy a book, or you get it back from CGC, and it's not supposed to be a 9/8, but it is. Or pressing issues over there, or turnaround times, or all the things I've been seeing that kind of coexist or at the same time with the buyout, like almost a move like, okay, this is how we're going to react. This is my own thought. This is how we're going to react. We're going to push higher grade books, oversaturate eBay, oversaturate high grade because people want high grade so they can sell it for more, blah, blah, blah. And haven't been producing the way I thought. And what was the nail in the coffin for me was the video on the Superman. So I'm announcing right now that I will no longer be sending books to CGC, and that's a big thing for me.
Wow.
I have about 80% CGC. I mean, I just renewed my membership with them, so I'm pretty much screwed there. And of course,
take advantage of it.
No, I'm done. So plus they know who I am. So I send them a book goodbye. So
I don't know if that's true.
It's a fear. Regardless, you're probably right. It's not true. They probably don't care. But I will be using EGS, and I'm going to move to CBCS. Okay. So so out of everybody besides EGS was very strict like I was, but he's new and he takes a lot of time. I think, like you said, how you change your standard, you went out and got an average grade from all the big guys. And that's how you do it. I'm not boycotting them. I am just no longer using them. I might buy CGC slabs in the market or something like that here and there, but I will be sending my books to CBCS from now on. And I'm excited to do that. I kind of want to wait till the new cases come because I've been building a lot to send to CGC. But after the video, I'm telling you, Steve, I was one day away from sending to CGC until I saw that video. And then I had to call other people that were submitting with me and say, I'm not doing it. So they weren't exactly happy, but I explained to them why. Now, and look, the honest to God's truth is, Steve, I was submitting to CGC the majority of my big books when you were over there running stuff. You are not there. I take your thoughts and your advice very seriously.
Well, thank you.
And I think whoever's watching should as well. His opinion is, if you're going to ask anybody, it's his opinion that matters, I believe. So with that comes this. God, this is such a hard decision for me because it just is. There's a misconception out there, Steve, that eBay gets the most money for the buck on eBay, but what they don't understand is that there are a lot of other markets than eBay. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Sure. I mean, we're setting record prices at Heritage, at Comic Link, and these big auction houses, right? eBay is a little different. CGC is like Coca-Cola, right? I'll have a Coke.
Yeah.
They've also have a 15-year start on us. So we're the new kids on the block, even though we've been around for a while. We also don't have a registry yet. And people pay more for books so they could put it on the registry and say, hey, look, I've got a better set. We're working on that right now. We're actually beta testing the census right now, the population report. Once that's finished, then we'll break out the registry sets or collector sets, as we're going to call them. And I think you'll see a big difference at that point. But if you're watching the large auctions, you'll see that we're doing pretty well. And but if people repeat something so many times, it becomes a reality in their minds. And that's just not true. I mean, we've had so many record sales. I mean, $250,000 books. Suspense 3 is one of them. It's like I said, there's a misconception in the marketplace, but a lot of collectors want to buy the book and not the label.
Yeah, and I understand. It's about treatment to me, I think, is where I'm at now, and just it's like a sweatshop over there, man. They're pushing books too fast. I don't know what's going on, but I just want it to be treated kind of how you explained the way you treat books. I have no problem making the move. Because you're over there, you are the originator, and that's what means the most to me. The problem that was holding me back mostly was the case. And it's not a bad case now, but you're improving it next month. A lot. So that, it's just taking a long time for me to do that. And this is the day. So, also,
wow.
Jeremy, is it your vice president of?
Yeah, Jeremy runs or oversees Becket Grading, BAS, which is the Signature Authentication Program, and CBCS. He's a great guy, smart.
Very nice guy.
Yeah.
He gave me this, guys. So, and I'm sure when the announcement of the new code, the new labels come out, maybe we'll do a video together. But as of for right now, for March, guys, they gave us a code for anybody. I'm putting it on the screen now. 10% off your next submission. If you use that code, it's econ0320. Okay. You just, when you print out the paperwork, you just write it on there. I'll leave it up there for a little bit. And that's just like a thank you. If you want to try them or not, whatever, there's a code. And then getting into the, if you don't mind, a little bit, I know we've been on for a while, some questions from the chat. I guess I'll just read them out to you. And
Sure.
I want to say thank you so much. I mean, this was a little bit of a scary interview for me, just for multiple reasons, but I really, truly want the community to know that I'm not trying to cause chaos and noise, but there's a lot of chaos and noise out there. And I'm trying to bring you back.
Well, there always is in our hobby. I mean, we're a bunch of yentas.
I'm just
we really like to talk, and we also like to complain. I mean, I could put out
guilty.
A promotion and say 5% off or $5 off, which is one of the things we're running right now. $5 off any verified signature, and people say, "Oh, that wasn't as good as the last one." It's like, wait a minute, we're giving you a discount, but people like to, complain. It's what we do. It's human nature, and I understand it, and I don't get offended by it at all.
Yeah, I just want people to understand that there's a lot of talk out there, about everything, CGC, whatever. Me, do I know what I'm talking about? Do I not? I'm just trying to get guys to bring you the truth, and that's what I've always been trying to do: save you money and tell you what I know and what I've learned over the last 15 to 20 years. I see a big. Let's see. There's a super chat with one. Craig asks, what's the flight velocity of an unladen swallow? I don't think we're going to answer that one.
Well, let's go to the Monty Python thing. If I answer it wrong, I fall off the bridge, so I'm not going to answer
it. Okay. Okay. First up, from Mark from Australia. I think that's the first question. Let's just start there. How is CBCS distancing itself from CGC in light of the latest storm? Will you produce your own "This is how we grade" video? That's a good question.
Like I said, right now the grading is so much more important, and getting the books to people on time is so much more important, and getting our name out there is so much more important, that we had some talks about it after this CGC video went viral. But at the same time, if we just keep doing the best job that we can, we don't need to put out a video. We need to do justice to each book, each and every book, and we need to do what's right for the hobby.
I mean, it's true. You could make a video of you very carefully, slowly treating the book and film it a million times. Right. So if you just keep doing what I trust you, Steve. I mean, look, I don't know who else to trust. You are the beginning, the alpha and the omega. Okay.
I'm not just the beginning. There was other people involved.
I understand, but you brought it to the.
I had the right references from people.
Yeah.
Throughout the industry, the top people, but I got pegged for CGC, and then of course I've proven myself, hopefully, to the community. I always try to be very honest. I mean, you don't want to lie. If you lie, you got to carry that lie around, and you got to be very careful about what you say.
Or just come out and say, "Look, I did it." But don't,
right.
I get it. Let's see, because there's a lot, so I'm going to try to be quicker. When will the e-coupons actually be E? I don't know what that means, but if you're asking about
I do, because right now you have to write it onto the submission form, and we're working on that now as well.
Okay, but for now, if they want to use this coupon code, just write it on the form. Right. Will your prices change because of the new slabs and because your business will get more busy?
As far as I know, and from all the discussions we've had, there's no raising of prices.
Okay. A friend of mine, we sent a book. He gave me a super chat here. There was a Venom #2, okay, and it was a double cover. Now, apparently, there was an A, B, and C cover of it. It was a Kirkman variant, okay? And the cover that he had was all of them were double covers. It was just like some word misprinting on that variant cover.
Sure.
And
right.
we sent it.
The collating machine was set too loose.
Yeah, so
sure.
The whole print, well, I don't know if the whole print was there, but we sent it to CGC for him, and they didn't mark it, okay? So I called it back. I said, look, you guys, because it was already 4 months. I called him back. I said, this is a double cover. I'm sending it back. So they reviewed it, and they sent it back again. This is not a double cover. Other covers had the double cover as well. How would you have graded that book? Would it have been a double cover or not?
Well, you have to grade each cover. Absolutely.
So it was a double cover.
It sounds like it. I mean,
regardless of print run, as long as there's two covers.
No, it's every book in that print run was manufactured on purpose with a double cover. You still grade both covers.
Okay. So would it be marked double cover?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. When and where can we see samples of the new Slabs, Hope, new labels, maybe superhero custom labels?
Not looking at the superhero custom labels.
I agree.
I'm a big believer that the book should be what you're looking at, not the label.
Oh, that's
yes, the grade and the title and stuff like that, but especially key comments, first appearance or cameo, whatever. But I don't want the look of the label to take away from the book.
Although I agree with you in the fact, and hey, you're the one, but I don't really want a superhero on my label, but I do like options when it comes to color labels because it can make the book look so much better with a different. We're not going to get into that right now, but in regard to the will there be new labels? Like, is it a different design of paper?
We're working on tweaking the label right now because we have to have it for the new holder. I'm not sure how much we're going to rebrand. At the end of the day, we've had 3 labels. One was horrific. I was actually out of work while my partner and other people designed, my ex-partner, designed that label with the divots. I don't know if you saw them, rivets or whatever. It was a horror show. When I came back to work, I was I had back surgery and my stepdaughter passed.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that.
At work. Thank you. And when I got back, I saw this label and it was just horrific. And they said, "Oh, we didn't want to bother you." I was like, "Well, this is bothering me a lot more now." Right. So rebranding can take away from things. I mean, if you look at Coca-Cola, whether they rebrand or not, they always go back to the old Coca-Cola, design. I prefer people recognize us constantly as opposed to thinking that we're a new grading service.
I just like the fact. I mean, yeah, labels take time. That takes the right thing, but the move with the new case, that's the big move for you guys, as far as I'm concerned, and the free advertising from CGC. So let's see here. Is pressing moving to Dallas?
Yes.
Okay.
It looks like it. And that's one of the things is that, pressing is, it's taking too long. We're not happy with it. We're thinking about shutting it down at one point.
Okay.
Because it takes too long to get the people back their books.
Well, that's the thing, though. A lot of people don't understand that it's not a quick process. It's very time consuming. If you're doing it right,
you could do a quick press and just won't get everything out of the book.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it shouldn't be taking this long. And I'm trying to be very honest with you. I'm unhappy with it. Everybody's unhappy with it. People are happy with the results, but at the end of the day, we live in an Amazon society, right?
Yeah.
2-day shipping.
Instant
1-day
gratification. Yeah.
Exactly. Back in the day, I mean, heck, it took me 2 months just to get a book ordering from Comic Buyer's Guide sometimes. I'd have to respond to the ad, and then I'd have to send a check, and my check would have to clear, which would take 2 weeks. And then the guy would say, well, yeah, I don't have to send the book for another couple of weeks. And we didn't mind. It's changed a lot. Like I said, we're in an Amazon society.
You guys are looking at your options, and maybe they'll move is basically what you're getting at.
Oh, it looks like it's going to happen.
Okay. Let me ask you this, because have you thought of opening 3 locations, 1 east, 1 west, a central, to reduce shipping?
Absolutely not.
Okay. That's all I got.
The reason for that is because you want the grading to stay consistent.
I understand.
And let's say you have one more than creases, and the ones on the East Coast dislikes creases more than stains. You're not going to have consistent grading.
No, I completely understand, and that makes sense. That's a fan of the raw grading service. Any plans to expand the service to a higher dollar amount and maybe faster turnaround?
Well, the problem with the high dollar amounts on the raw grade is that, it's not in a case. And so if it gets manhandled, even with the stickers, the tamper-proof stickers on the back and everything, it could change. And so we don't want to do it with high dollar books.
Okay.
It's the raw grade is for mostly brick and mortar stores who don't want to argue grade with
Customers. I get it. I used to do that.
Absolutely.
I did grade, I used to grade for a store for a year. They'd call me in, and they wanted something different. They wanted the book to have a little label on the back with a grade. So I went in there and I graded all day, and I admit I loved it. So, someone asked about labels again. We already answered that one, Varagian. Let's see. If I send a book for a new red label, can it still be pressed and cleaned? I'm sure that the answer is yes to that.
Right. I mean, if you use one of the pressers that we have agreements with, or use our pressing service, it'll still retain, you can still get a verified signature no matter what, because that has to go through the experts and cost more money.
He just wants to know if it'd be pressed and clean, and the answer for that's yeah.
Right.
Okay. Offer a recrack policy, and I'll send you CBCS, my CGC books.
Well, the problem with that is that I will not take CGC's grade. So it would have to be cracked out
and regraded.
Absolutely, because I'm not putting my name on somebody else's work.
Yeah. Okay. What happens when a book is damaged during the grading process?
We call the customer right away. It happens once in a blue moon because you're handling paper. And that's the reason we have people put fair market value on there. So let's say somebody puts $10,000. I'm just picking up a number, right? And let's say for some reason it was handled wrong, and something was done wrong with it. What we'll do is we can make up the difference between the grade that it is now and the grade that it was, or we'd buy the book. But there's a reason that you put insurance value for fair market value. Now, if you put down $10,000 on a spawn 1 and something happens to it, we're not giving you $10,000. It's for fair market value.
So if there's some problems and say you missed it and stuff, you'll work with the customers, you'll talk to them, see what you can do, type of thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
It happens once in a while, and because you're human.
Well, I got somebody that I know wants to talk to you, so we'll take care of that.
Absolutely.
Let's see here.
But the bottom line is that you're dealing with human beings, and I don't care what business you're in, mistakes happen.
So this is an interesting question from Leo. Will the VSP label stay red or color change? I feel like red has a bad connotation with it. I kind of agree with that statement. Yeah,
because people think red means stop, right?
Danger.
If something that's been been ingrained in us since we were, born, basically. But what colors can we use?
Well, maybe you can look into it.
Because if you use purple, people hate purple. They call it, it's CGC. They call it the plod, purple label of death. So you don't want purple. Green, CGC uses as qualified, and we don't want people to ever think that we have a qualified. Right? We just say the coupon's clipped. Here you go. Here's your 2.5.
Here's a question that relates. Will restored books get a colored label?
Probably not. I mean, everything that all the research we did, everybody wanted a blue label on restored books.
It'll be noted
as restored and what's done to it,
okay,
and how much restoration.
Are you going to Emerald City?
Yes, as of now, I'm leaving on Tuesday because I have to go look at some collections. And I'll be at Emerald City on Thursday and Friday.
You or CBCS? I know you are CBCS.
CBCS will be there the entire weekend, unless, of course, the government shuts it down.
Everyone else has been running. I know from what I've heard.
Well, I mean, people are
scared.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not as worried as some people. Maybe I should be.
Yeah, let's get you a little bit worried. It's a little bit, unless you got suits. Carlos Navarro, like the Becket cards, gold or silver? Oh, that's interesting.
Right. We can look into that at a later date, but right now the holder is more important. The census is more important. There's so many other things that we need to be doing. And, we're still the little engine that could.
Yeah.
And I want to stay that way. I want to keep moving forward slowly but surely and make this the best possible service you could get.
Well, I agree. I think you're more than the little engine could though, but that's my opinion. Chad RCG gave me a $50 super chat. Chad, thank you so much. He is a new kid on the block on YouTube, and he's a poker player that's making waves.
Cool.
He's really enjoying the hobby. I appreciate it, Chad. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chad.
Let's see. If your cases look better than CGC cases, you will give them a run for the money. I agree. I think they already are. Let's see. Let me know when you. That's a good question. Any recommendations on temperatures for the room where you keep your slabs? I would say air conditioned.
Well, sure. It's got to be climate controlled.
Climate controlled, yeah. Air conditioning at a certain level, not too hot, not too cold.
Absolutely, just like your comics. I mean, please.
How you're comfortable in your house.
Comics in a safe.
Yeah.
And you don't want the temperature to go too high, then too low, then too high, then too low. That will hurt your page quality.
Chad says, is there a timeline for magazine-sized slabs? Are you guys moving into that?
Absolutely. It looks like at the end of Q4, we should
by the end of the year
be doing that. Yeah,
that's cool. How long do you have to reholder? I'm not sure what that means.
Things are worked out. I really don't know. I could lie and say, 6 months from now it's going to be boom, gangbusters, or 3 months from now, or 1 month from now. But when you're dealing with IT, anybody who knows IT out there, it's tough. First of all, I'm talking comic geek to these guys who are talking IT geek to me.
Yeah.
So there's always a bit of a problem with that. And once again, once you put something out there to be looked at for beta testing, that you're going to find so many problems that you need to fix before you launch it. So I really don't want to lie to anybody and give them a timeline on that.
Okay, well that's fair enough, but it isn't beta testing. That's what you got. Someone says metallic colored labels. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, there's a possibility. Like I said, we're looking into everything it is. it doesn't come out right. You just want to make sure that you can do the best you can, get it right, and then send it out.
What about Blue Label and just mark verified signature?
It's a possibility, but it doesn't make it stand out. And you want to basically make things stand out when it's something that's really cool.
I get it.
So it's not something that's been in discussion at this point.
How many graders do you have currently?
Right now we have 9 graders.
That's amazing. That's an amazing. How in the world can you make on the phone with them? Can you have an accurate grading with that many people? The turnaround rate for people letting go and retrained has to be crazy at that amount. But you just said 9, which I can't believe you just said.
Think about what my time would be like.
You wouldn't have any. You probably don't have any already.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of time, but I do train constantly, and I enjoy training. The people that work for us have such a passion for comic books. They just soak everything up. I'm very proud of our team. I really am. I mean, I wouldn't say it if I wasn't. I think these guys just love it. We have our modern finalizer, Daniel Erdl, came on board years and years ago, and now is finalizing and helping run the modern grading. That doesn't mean I don't oversee it still, but he's running it. And this kid is fantastic. And he's not a kid. I mean, I should say that. I'm just old. I call everybody a kid. But he spent years, with me and with Wes Steffen, learning how to grade our way. And he's smart as a whip too. Really good. There's
another question. I'm going to ask you a quick question. Popped to my mind. Would you ever do a tour of the facility, like show let's just say I came down there, okay? And I was like, "Hey, Steve, how you doing, buddy? Remember me?" And would you take me on a tour and show me the entire thing, or is it your secret sauce?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I think that it would be kind of cool to do that. But people, once again, I think I mentioned this earlier, people like sausage. They don't want to see how it's made.
I would do.
But at the same time, I think we should be, transparent as possible.
I think it's a very smart idea.
Yeah. It's something that, I'll bring up at the next meeting and see if we can do something where we bring in people to have a tour, or we do, a video. But once again, I could put out the most honest video in the world and people would say it's staged. Or I could stage a video and people might think it's real.
I think there's ways around it, Steve.
There has to be some kind of trust in the community.
I think there's ways around it. Like, if I don't, let's just say, I know I gave a code, but you guys gave it to me. I'm not making anything off this code. And believe me, it's a very tough move for me to move to CBCS. We all know the market and the way eBay is and all that, but I can't take it anymore. But if there was no skin in the game, you know what I mean? If there was no code or whatever, and you had these people come that are trusted around YouTube or Instagram or social media networks where there's no benefit for us to tell the truth or to not tell the truth. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's a cool idea.
There might be a way to do that.
I really like it. Sure. Bring you in, bring Adam in, or whoever,
Yeah, whoever, or just anybody, that someone that loves what about Ed Robertson? I'm just throwing out his name, but I mean,
absolutely.
He has no skin in the game. So, right. I mean, of course, he's one of the biggest dealers in the West Coast, but besides that, I don't know. Anyway, okay, so here's another question. I know we've been on a long time, but I really want him to get, if you're okay, some more questions in.
I'm fine as long as you are.
I'm actually really tired.
I basically work 24/7, so this is okay.
It's the same for me. This is an interesting question. Do you have a yearly subscription price? Because I noticed you didn't have that.
We do actually, and there's different tiers. It's on our website, if you go to membership.
I looked. I couldn't find it. I'll have to look again.
But we're revamping it and to make it actually better. I actually spent a weekend just going over every little thing with a fine-tooth comb and said, okay, how do we make this better? But we also want to make sure that we stay with the free membership. There shouldn't be a reason that somebody who's going to send in 2 books a year has to pay. And there's also, like, we don't charge per invoice, right? So we don't add.
Let me see.
Important.
He just said they'll never make a slab for your Superman versus Muhammad Ali. And then you were just saying right now that you're getting in the magazine. Oh, you might not be doing.
That's too big.
That's still too big. Yeah. Well, you know what I did, Voodoo? I just want to say this. Voodoo, I had the them. I have it up in there. That was the only way. So I mount them. You could do that. Let's see. Will we break up? I'm just trying. It's hard for me to scroll because there's so many, and a lot are just comments.
Well, pick your own question.
Well, I'm trying to get to the bottom. It's so long. That's what she said. I knew I would get it in. I was waiting to get that statement in, but I finally did it. Let's see here. Any word on Hero Initiative super limited label for charity?
You know what? I'm not involved with that.
Okay.
I'm on the board that brings in the money.
Eddie's mullet. We already addressed Ryan's super chat. Thank you for the super chat. We already addressed that question. Let's see. God, please. I'm trying to. Let's see.
You know, maybe we'll run a promotion at some point. But at the same time, it goes back to what I said before. It's a full.
Yeah, you're regrading it.
Grading.
Yeah, so that's probably not. Well, at least they'll crack it for free, right?
Oh, absolutely.
There you
don't
go.
Charge for cracking.
No. Big Will wants
we try not to put. We try not to put all these little fees in.
Yeah, I understand.
Where at the end of the day, you go, wait a minute. It was supposed to cost me $18 for this book, and now I'm paying $48. We don't want that. It's bad for the hobby. It's like I said, we should be spending money on comic books or grading an extra book, whatever you want to do.
Yeah,
it's your money. You should be owning it.
JP, they already answered the registry question. They're working on it. Big Will, do you know the membership prices off your top of your head, Steve?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Go to the website.
Though. And I said that's going to be changing soon as well. So if you don't like what you see right now, then wait for the next launch.
How do you decide whether it's a cameo or first appearance? This is an interesting question because I saw them CGC was slabbing Batman number 89, and they were calling it the cameo of Punchline, but they didn't put the cameo of the other character because he was in there too. And I was like, why is that not on there? And it seems like a big character.
Right. I think we have both on our label.
Well, hopefully, because I don't want to inadvertently bury you.
No, I just did one. But
oh, you did?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, but I don't write the key comments. I check them, but I don't write them. I do if something comes across my desk that the pre-graders didn't know. I add to it. But on the specific book, I couldn't, I'm not at the office, I'm at home. I couldn't look it up right now.
That's okay. If they send a book to you right now, will they get the new slab, or can they write on the invoice, hey, we don't grade it until you get the new slab or something, or what?
Well, we prefer they don't because of the insurance reasons. We have a floating insurance policy.
Mm-hmm.
So for as long as the books are with us and you have a fair market value on your submission form, we have to pay the insurance while it's sitting with us. Like I said, we might be running a special saying hey, we have the new slabs in. If you send in your old slabs, we'll do it for this much money, whatever it is. But if you're sending books in today, and we're at a 4 to 5 week turnaround time, and the cases aren't here quite yet. I mean, actually, no, we're at the beginning of March, right?
What?
So if we're at a 5 week turnaround time, there's a pretty good chance you'll be getting the new holder.
I understand. Okay, so it's possible.
But that's if you're picking a longer.
Let's say they sent it in at the end of March. Let's say they sent it in the end of March, and they use my code.
You're in pretty good shape. But the bottom line is that if you send in a book today,
and
you pick 2-day modern, we have to get it out in 2 days.
Oh yeah. So if they just do the regular submission time string, that's a very good possibility they'll get the new cases. But if you want to wait a week, helps your chances. Someone said just bought Avengers 43, Fantastic Four, and Thor 134, and he is sending them all to you.
Oh wow, that's very, very, very nice. Very humbling.
Any interest in getting a subsidiary in Europe, or is the market here too small?
No, actually, the Canadian drop-off site has been working out very, very well for us. So that's the test, and we'd like to move into other countries as well. We feel that once again, this is a hobby; it's a worldwide hobby, and we'd like to make sure that we can take care of everybody.
He says, okay, someone asked about the label again, unless I'm reading it wrong. We just answered that. How many books do you typically grade in a year at this point?
Oh, I have no clue. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Because we're talking about, long into the night. But I don't know the exact number that's coming out of the grading room every day.
Okay, so here's JP, we already answered the CBC census question. They're working on it. What comics are you currently reading?
Okay, well, I'm in the middle of reading. I don't buy single issues anymore. I buy the trades.
Okay.
Because I travel so much and I read when I'm on the plane.
Yeah.
And stuff. It's so much easier to read trades. So right now I'm reading Stokers and Wells. My friend, really good friend, who's the senior man at Overstreet, J.C. Vaughn, edited the book. It's written by Stephen Peros and illustrated by Barry Orkin. It's really kind of cool. I'm in the middle of reading Kick-Ass, The New Girl, Book 2, Planet of the Apes, Green Lantern, Mr. Miracle by Tom King, Killer Be Killed by Brew Baker, which is fantastic. I haven't been reading enough Marvel and DC lately. It seems to be very convoluted.
Oh, I love indies too. I agree.
Yeah.
Right now, independents are killing it.
But, in my collection, my original art collection, I have a lot of Marvel and DC stuff. I mean, that's what I grew up on. Yeah,
quick question is, why don't you give us just a couple tasty tidbits, not about your entire collection, but some of your goodies, because someone asked about that, like your big books.
I've owned the Flash 1 Edgar Church Mile High copy, Morphin 52, the First Spectre, Mile High Edgar Church copy.
You don't have one book like the.
No, I have a couple. I have a couple of books, and don't laugh too loud. I have a Betty and Me 16, which is that crazy cover.
The
Rifleman 10, which is another crazy cover, and I have a few books, that I show off to people who don't know comic books, and they just laugh.
Do you have the Alf?
Yes, 48.
I had it, but I gave it to my buddy that does movie reviews, a movie critic, for Christmas, and it was painful because it took me so long to find that Alf. He's looking for all those Betty books. Like, he wants those. That's his hunt. He's new to it, but he loves that type of stuff. Very interesting.
Sure, I have a friend who owns like 25 copies of that.
I'm gonna have to talk to you about that. Maybe he'll.
But I also collect Marvel memorabilia. from the 60s and 70s, and DC memorabilia from the 60s and 70s. But artwork-wise, my favorite thing is collecting Grateful Dead, Tim Truman art.
You seem like a deadhead. I hate to say it.
I'm an old deadhead. Forget it. I mean,
I think I saw you at the
late 70s.
I think I saw you at a Steve Miller reunion 30 years ago when I was in high school. I think I saw you there.
Yeah, I saw Steve Miller open for the Dead many times.
I don't know if you can answer this or not, but Voodoo says
I have to see the book, but to tell you the truth, the only faded. I've seen a lot of Giant X-Men ones in my time, a lot, more than maybe anybody else. There is no production fade.
Okay, so it's more like color damage,
unless it's really slight,
sun damage of some sort, maybe.
Right, unless it's really slight and the ink's running low. But I mean, normally they have very vibrant colors.
What's
maybe it was hanging in a store window for a little while.
Possible, yeah.
Right.
What's the life expectation for slabs before they have to re-slab?
Well, with ours, you don't have to. We use PETG, which is archival safe, and it breathes. So you do not need to change it out at all.
Okay.
There's this, I guess our competition uses microchamber paper. And if you don't change that out,
the paper inside the book?
Yes. Mm-hmm. If you don't change it out in a certain amount of time, it could actually damage the book. So that's why there's this notion out there. Because when I was at CGC, we used to put, please change this out every, I think, 7 to 9 years.
Yeah, I remember that.
And somehow they got rid of that. And it's kind of like, wow, why don't you tell people that you should change the paper out? The microchamber paper is like a sponge, and it takes in all the contaminants, so it's great. But once the sponge is full, water leaks out.
Yeah.
So same thing with microchamber paper. It'll become inert.
Okay, so Eddie Mullet asking a silly question because he likes to do this, but
that's okay. I'm silly.
He's just doing it on purpose. What's the first appearance of Gambit? The first true full appearance?
Well, as far as I know, it's X-Men 266.
Okay. I'm sure he's gonna talk about the annual. We're gonna get past that.
Yeah, there it goes. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. I was going to see. Got my Golden Age Daredevil that is going to Steve so he can have another one go across his desk.
Nice. All right. I love Golden Age Daredevils.
How do you become an authorized dealer?
Oh, you just email us. I think there's something on our site where you can apply for dealership. But, at the end of the day, people can actually get to me on Instagram, on Facebook, and of course my email, and I'll pass it on to the correct people.
Okay.
Right. We were talking about Europe, and so what we were doing is we're giving people a way to drop off books without having to deal with customs and with long waits for their return. And it costs them a lot less money, of course. So I'm not really sure if we're going to go to 2 days a week or 3 days a week, but as it grows, we'll grow with it.
Whodat asked if you're doing magazine size slabs. We already talked about it, Whodat, but basically they're looking at it. They're working on it. Right? Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, hopefully by, the end of the year is when we should be launching that.
Let me see. Come on, baby. I'm trying to get to the end. I think we're getting up. It just jumped. I can't wait to see. Sorry. Gosh, there's so many. While I'm trying to find the next one, I have a question. One of my subs sent me the Superman 25th or 40th anniversary post office Action Comics #1 reprint, and inside it had the stamp and it's sealed and everything. If I was to send you that book sealed, what would you do? That's my question.
We have to, if you want it to grade, we have to take it out of what it's in.
Now, there's a little flap over the book. It's like a paper flap where it has the stamp on it. You don't grade that flap. You grade the cover, right?
Right, but if the flap is damaged, right, it's not in its original condition. So we have to grade everything.
Okay.
So, like, let's say, you have the Spider-Man with the tattoos. Tattoos are missing, or the insert is creased. You have to take that into consideration.
Okay, let me see. I also have I'm looking at these different questions. I think everyone's just kind of talking now. Try to just give me a second so I can get to the rest of the questions, guys. No more chit chat just for a second. I have another question. We recently got some books from Brian Polito, Lady Death.
Oh, he's a great guy. He's on the board of the Hero Initiative with me.
Do you know what he actually called me today? I have an auction tomorrow night, but he wants me to come there to Coffin Comics 2 hours before the auction to do something with him. So I'll be there, guys. Just so you know, he does these. They're called mock-up editions. Do you know what that is? So
no, maybe not. I mean, I might not call it mock-up editions. So
well, they call them mock-up, and they're like one per. Basically, what it is a test print of the book. The pages are empty. There's nothing in the pages, but the cover is done. Everything on the cover is finalized, and I want to send them in to get graded because they're one of a kind. Would that be something that you guys can do for us?
I think so, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay. So if you go on our chat boards and you ask the question, I'll be able to get the answer and the answer from there.
Let's see. Looks like everything's kind of getting a little crazy here.
Life gets crazy.
I think the Hulk 181. Go ahead and rewatch the video. They're issuing new cases next month. Can you get a what is it? A red?
Yes, a red label and BAS, the experts on signatures, verify the signature. Or they don't verify the signature if it's wrong. I mean, I've seen so many fake Jack Kirby's and Stan Lee's. It's incredible.
Someone says I had a horrible experience with one of their retailers before. Would they talk to a customer about that?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Yeah, I don't either. I think that's Thunder God. I think that's between you and the retailer, and I don't think it has anything to do with CBCS. I mean, I'm sure you could email them and maybe give it a more detailed so that we understand.
Yeah, once again, go on our forums.
Yeah, go to the CBCS forums. Is Golden Age graded any different than any other arrows? Are grading companies more lenient when it comes to Golden Age? Voodoo, from what he told me, they grade every book the same. I'm sure they'd be extremely more careful with goal. I don't know. I mean, from what you've
well, it's a very legitimate question. Terrific too. A lot of them have the bottom right corner, kind of like ripped off a little bit. That means that the machine that was cutting it had a dull blade. If you look at Amazing Adventures 11, which is a Copper Age book. Bronze Age, sorry. It has an ink smudge on it on most of them. So you take the way it was printed and the way it hit the stands, and back then there was, of course, no comic stores, right? It was just newsstands. And you have to say, okay, so the bindery chip at the top of the spine was there when it was bought off the newsstand. Same thing with arrival dates, whether they're in pen, pencil, or ink. If you took a New Mutants 98 and you stamped it with a date, well, people weren't returning books back then.
Yeah.
So you would take off
Giant
Avengers
foot.
4 and
Yeah.
it's on Captain America's face, you know, where it's obtrusive.
Okay, well, here's another question. It should be pretty easy for you. If there's a convention having comic artists show up to sign, how can they get a representative to show up to verify for them?
Well, they come to the table
No.
and they ask for witness.
Yeah, but what if you're not there? What about, in my mind, it's like maybe there's some authorized witnesses in their area. Is there a way to look them up so they can have them come?
Yeah, a lot of time it's on Facebook, on our signature Facebook page, and they'll say, hey, you know, I'm going to be at this convention and I'll be witnessing these few artists or all the artists or none of them. I don't know.
Can they email you and see if there's any verifiers in their location that you might have access?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Sure.
there you go.
Sure.
How does one earn a pedigree distinction? I purchased an early bronze collection from an original owner in mostly all high grade.
Well, you know, bronze is a little modern, so it would have to be complete runs with all the keys and in high grade. Now, there's other pedigree collections like the Denver. There's only like 50 books, but they're all #1 Golden Age books in high grade. It would have to be looked at, and then we could decide if it should be a pedigree or not. But it's tougher to get a pedigree on more modern stuff than it is on vintage.
Yeah.
Now that said, we've also done on the label, you know, from the such and such collection, when there's something like you just spoke about, a high grade bronze collection. So we would put from, like, let's say it was found in Minnesota, right? We would put from the Minnesota collection, or, you know, the Stan's comic store, you know, wherever it was found or whatever. So we do recognize collections, not just pedigrees. And there's a big difference between collections and pedigrees.
I'd be interesting. I would love for you to see my X-Men collection.
I'd love to see it too, man. I love looking at comic books. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in the job I'm in.
Well, it took me 10 years to put it together. It's the whole thing, and every book is signed by someone that worked on it.
Really? That's so cool.
I think it's the only one in the world. It took so long. I didn't think I'd ever finish it because so many people had passed away. And when I finished it, oh man, the weight on my shoulders was released. I mean, I have books that are signed by 7 different people, and it's only people that did work on that book, you know, an inker or a writer, or even the title blocks, or, you know, internal art or cover. I want to get a personal pedigree for that. I do have a Chihuahua, you know, full blood. Okay. So, Eddie, I don't understand your question. I love you, but I'm not going to ask. Why aren't they at Dragon Con, 100,000 people con? Do you have to get invited to that type of thing?
No. I was speaking with somebody just recently about Dragon Con. For a while, it turned into just a cosplay show.
Yeah.
Basically. And I don't, somebody's telling me it's more of a comic show now. So we'll be looking into that.
Okay. I have a Hulk 181 with the stamp cut out, but I have the label. If I reattach the stamp with tape, could it be considered a complete copy with the tape noted?
It would say married Marvel Value stamp.
So is that restored then? Married?
Not restored, no. Married is completely different. But it would still be notated on the label, and it's not going to get a high grade.
Would it be a blue label?
Yes.
That's interesting. Okay. I don't know how, but we did it.
What did we do?
Well, I've got through all the questions.
Oh, cool.
It's been 2 hours and 5 minutes. Look, I got to admit, I am really surprised that you gave me this much time. It's absolutely been a pleasure talking to you.
Same here.
I tried to answer every question and all the questions I had. We talked about Superman. We talked about the new what CBCS is going to do, their moves. We've talked to the man himself, Steve. Created it all in my world. I think he has. I got a little vindication on my grading. I really appreciate that. My thoughts on how books are supposed to be handled. I really appreciate that. I don't know what else to say. Is there anything else that you would like to say to these guys in closing?
Well, first, I'd like to thank everybody for listening. I mean, I'm not that important, so it's really
to the collector you are.
It's very humbling, you know. And I had a great time. I would like to mention our website. So if anybody out there doesn't know it, it's www.cbcscomics.com. We have a Facebook pages. There's one for signatures, one for just talking about everything else. You can follow me on Instagram under Steve Borock. I try to post books all the time that hit my grading desk. People seem to like it. We have a forum, of course, where collectors get together and dealers get together and discuss everything, and I'm on there quite a bit answering questions. So that's enough of me shilling the company. But once again, I really, really want to thank everybody for listening, and I want to thank you for having me on.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been fun. I didn't realize it was 2 hours. It went so fast.
I mean, honestly, I've wanted to talk to you for a long time. I've talked to many, many people in the industry, and I just, like I said, I think timing's everything. And the whole move for myself has been, and if everything goes well, I'll continue to do that. If everything goes well, when the new cases arrive, maybe we'll have a code for you as well, and we'll announce. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to come back and announce the new case. There was a question I did want to end, but let's see. I want to make sure that I answered all the questions. Do signed copies direct from the artist websites have a good chance of getting a red label or a yellow label?
I'm not sure I understand. I mean, if it's sent in from the artist to us, it would get a yellow label. If it's sent into a third party, it has to be verified.
Okay, so you got to have the artist send direct from him, and then whatever. That's how it goes. All right, you guys, this has been a one heck of an interview. Believe what you want, but the answers were answered by Steve, the one and only CGC, Heritage, Overstreet, CBCS, the man, the myth. Steve, thanks again so much.
You're too kind. You're way too kind.
Yeah,
another hobbyist, man.
I'll get you later. you can send me a coffee or something.
Once again, thank you very much for having me on.
You got it.
Really appreciate
and if you guys want to share this video, please do. A lot of people have a lot of questions about grading, and they don't know who to believe and who to trust. I've done my due diligence to let the senior guy here answer all the questions, and you can tell he's honest. It's not all about CBCS. It's about the truth, guys. So take it as you will. Thank you again so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Got a bunch of live shows tomorrow. Coffin Comics, auction. I got to go. Thank you so much, guys. See ya.
Bye, guys.